I love it. I am Alana Davis, your host and Meetup organizer. I work with e-commerce shops to remove friction from the buying process. And my focus is really on rescuing Shopify websites, making them more effective and attracting more visitors, providing better SEO, and increasing conversion rates at a fraction of the cost of a full redesign. Here is a quick look at our agenda for today. The session is being recorded as I look up to make sure that it's actually being recorded. So assuming everything works out from Zoom, then we will definitely be sharing the video out, hopefully today, maybe tomorrow at the very latest. But I'm super excited to hear from our speaker today. So I don't really want to waste a ton of time on this, but let's keep going. First, a quick shout out to our sponsors. Jason LD for SEO transforms your SEO with rich results, a program that allows you to show search enhancements such as review stars, price, and availability in Google Search, Bing, Pinterest, and other search engines. And then, of course, we all know Shopify. It's more than just an e-commerce solution. You can sell anywhere to anyone with Shopify's e-commerce platform and point of sale features. I am going to share their links in the chat so that you have them if you would like to take a look. All right, so we do have a couple more meetups that are scheduled before kind of a mini summer break that's going to be coming up. First, on May 24th, we have What If You Can Turn Back Time? We're going to discuss how to keep your store secure and how to test and trial with different updates with your storefront without losing sales or momentum. And then in June, on June 14th, we're going to be doing another round of live site reviews. If you haven't done that with us in the past, it's pretty fun. We actually go through your websites to give you actionable feedback on your store. I will be picking up again meetups. I think it's in August or September. So if you do have topics that you would like to see or areas that you want me to explore, please let me know in the feedback request that I'll be sending along with the video recording. This feedback request also really helps me to know what's working well or not so that we can continue to provide a valuable resource for you. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce our speaker for today. Lianna is the head puncher at Punchline Conversion Copywriting. She is going to chat with us today about creating high converting copy without sounding sleazy. Welcome, Lianna.
Yeah, my favorite subject. Thanks for having me. Super pumped. Let's get right into it because I have so many slides. But they go quickly. Don't worry, everyone. Okay, cool. I'm gonna hit the present thing. No, that's the share button. You've all seen my shame now. I don't know where the present button is. Is that one? Okay, cool. Let Alana know if you can't see my screen, because otherwise I'm not seeing the chat. I won't know. Anyway, this is great. This is a bunch of my best tips, and I'll actually tell you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about 4 things that your high converting copy must do. We'll go through 3 emails that I would really like to see more stores send that I've only seen a handful of times at the most over like the last 4 years, which blows my mind. And then we're going to talk about common copy mistakes and how you can avoid making stuff that I still see happening all over the internet all the time. Thought we could do better. And if you are like, that is more than 9 things, you are correct. I'm a word person, not a math person, which is why I made more than 9 things for this. Also, I was very excited about all of them. Okay, so 4 musts of your high converting e-commerce copy. You probably have heard this before. It bears repeating. It's like the most important thing, especially when it comes to like actual conversion copy, right? It starts with customer research. You want to go through your reviews. If you have reviews, competitor reviews, if you don't have any reviews or you're like, close to starting your store, like maybe you want to go through, you want to send like little surveys, interviews, keep your surveys short. You can also go through your support chat transcripts. You probably have something like Delighted installed if you give an open-ended question option on that. Basically, anywhere you collect customer feedback and let them like give their own, like speak in their own words about your store and your products, that's where you want to look for copy nuggets. So what are you looking for? Go through 150 to 200 reviews if you're using reviews. You want at least 100 to 150 touch points minimum. The more the better. you probably start reaching diminishing returns around like 400, 500. And you're looking for repeated patterns, preferences, and phrases, right? What are people saying over and over? What do they want from you? What do they not want from you? And how are they saying these things? So you can use a little like simple rubric like this. I like to have the quote in context on the left side and whatever main message or sentiment I think is coming from it on the right side. And then I'll bold what I think is like super sticky. Like the way that I wouldn't have thought to write it, but the customers are writing it, that's where the gold is, right? So this is from working with a mattress company. I slept on it for a week. My body has been transformed. Awesome. My lower back pain is diminished. My body has never felt so good. I actually dream now. The company is called Ghost. I didn't believe in Ghost, but now I do. And I literally want to be buried on top of it. Like, cool, thank you. You just wrote my landing page for me. You know, I could use these as section headers. I can use these within the body copy. I can use them as pull quotes and testimonials throughout the page. Awesome, right? And then I started to see patterns coming through in these messages again and again, especially like less back and neck pain, partners more disturbed, less motion transfer, stuff like that. So that's like the dirty secret to writing better copy. Like you could stop watching right now and please don't leave. I love you, but you could leave. So if you're sending your customers a survey, here are some good questions to ask. The all-time favorite of most conversion copywriters, I think, is what was going on in your life that led you to us? And that triggers the reader to like give you the whole context, and people will give you so much more context than you need. They're like, my grandma was sick and my dog died and then this happened and I just wanted to treat myself, so I bought a scented candle. Like, cool. Okay, that's not going to be a repeating pattern, but we'll use that, right? How will our product make your life better? Get them to talk about their dreams and their aspirations so that you can match those up with what you actually promise. What would make this irresistible to you? Turns out you're probably already doing a lot of those, so make that crystal clear. If people are saying this, this, and this would make this product like a must buy, and you're like, well, it's obvious that we do that. Like, your product page is not communicating that. That's like a little sign right there that your product page is not communicating what you think it is. And then a sneaky one is, who do you think our product is perfect for? Because it forces them to say either it's me, and that pushes them a little closer to buying, or they think of someone else. And then they tell you that, and you're like, oh, my targeting and positioning has been kind of off this whole time. So hopefully that is helpful for you. I'm going to have some of these yellow slides throughout with a little light bulb. Those are like takeaways. If I'm on stage, sometimes I tell people to snap a picture, but that's really just because I'm vain and I like photos of me on stage. My second tip for higher converting copy, and the linchpin of my entire business and my life, is to write funnier copy. Why? Why do we want to be funny? There's so many risks involved, right? It feels bad and weird. Using humor in your copy actually can reduce anxiety. It can help build trust. Customers will look forward to opening your emails and seeing your new products if they know they're going to laugh. It helps distinguish you from the crowd, especially if you're in a competitive market. And most people ask, like, what should I joke about? I have a whole other thing about this. Like I said, this is my whole vibe, but a good place to start is joke about objections and problems, right? So don't make fun of your people, but joke about the shared problem that you can both observe in the world. Yeah, more about that later if you want. Here is an example. I worked with Manly Bands a few years ago. They make awesome wedding rings, and they were looking for like a Dollar Shave Club style sense of humor, and I wanted to see if bringing humor into their product pages would actually affect conversions. So here's an excerpt from one of their rings. Grandpa, where'd you get that dope ring? And can we have it? Your future heirs. Here's another one. What was this called? I can't see it. The Cowboy. We can't legally tell you that John Wayne wore this ring because it's not true. And also he died before we started the company, but like he totally would have. And then we get into the ring. So did this work? Yes, it did. It worked so well. I am obsessed with it. This remains the only case study I've ever done because I'm lazy and also had a lot of fun on this project. But yeah, it increased add to cart conversions like 200% and purchases 20%. The other one kind of flipped the script. Add to carts went up by 17, purchases went up by almost 100. So like, yes, humor does work. It's not an on-off switch. It's a spectrum. You don't have to go from 0 to manly bands or 0 Cards Against Humanity. Talk to me about that later if you want. But on to the third tip for higher converting copy, getting emotional, right? Bringing actually emotionally evocative words and situations into your copy. One way to do this is to tell a story that stars the reader. Hot tip, this will also help keep your copy in second person voice. So the you focus that we're all looking for when we read copy, because we're all selfish. And then we can go through our existing copy and take out really boring, bland, everyday adjectives and verbs and replace them with stuff that is more evocative, more emotional. So here is J. Peterman. They're famous for their clothing catalog descriptions, although I think this is the ugliest item of clothing I've ever seen in my life. It has a cool description. So story, your wild side. The skirt got you to the Carnaval de Carnavales typo in Seychelles in March, and the Torquato Tasso, Buenos Aires for a little tango. Like, think of all the cool places you're gonna wear this awful skirt. You're gonna look so cool all over the world, right? Help paint that picture in more specific and concrete terms, and that in turn will evoke a feeling from your reader. And we want them to feel things. Here's another way that you could do that. This is from Uncommon Goods. So this is a candle product page. And we have once the children are nestled all snug in their beds. And then we get into the textures of the candle. How's it made? What's it made of? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? These candles make a great companion to curling up with your favorite book before a long winter's nap. Like, oh my God, I'm tired just reading this. Please put this candle in my face. Hopefully this is all making sense. Ilana, feel free to interrupt me if we have questions. If anybody wants to like jump in, if nothing's clear, holler. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking very quickly. So here are some examples of ways to replace words that we're probably all using and make our copy more memorable, more specific, more emotional. Instead of saying great, try something like phenomenal. Tasty becomes mouth-watering or delectable. Instead of missing out on this product, you're going to sacrifice, your chance at greatness, not greatness, phenomenal. No, I'm kidding. You're going to sacrifice, right? Like, how can we just turn up the intensity a little bit on the word level? This is what I'm asking you to do. So instead of find, you're going to discover or explore, take advantage of, grab, snag, nab. I think those are all much more fun words. Here is a tip, mostly because I just love this photo of this dog. Don't fake it. Don't try to manipulate people into feeling something, because they will always figure that out. Whenever I use this slide, I always point out the stack of CDs behind him, which tells us this dog has been dead for so long. He's just been dust for years. Poor guy. Okay. How do we okay, before moving on to number 4, don't be manipulative. Check in with yourself when you're writing your copy. If you don't feel emotionally connected to it, chances are your readers won't either. Cool. We're all good people here. And my final tip, and this is maybe my favorite tip apart from the humor one, is pay attention to the details. We love Shopify. We love Klaviyo. They come preloaded with all sorts of automations that we can just turn on. But if you pay a ton of attention to the front end of your marketing, and then you just have the default order confirmation and shipping confirmation email set up, that kind of sucks for your customer, and it's going to hurt LTV. It's going to hurt repeat purchases, because if I'm enticed by a brand and then I finally pull the trigger, I want a really special delivery email or shipping email. I want to feel like I still continue to be special to them after I gave them money for the first time. So these are a few places you can pay attention to the details, let people know a human was there. Everybody reads photo captions. If you have Easter eggs on your website, that's really fun. Shipping and delivery policies. Think about the spots, especially if you have a lot of SKUs. Think about the spots on your PDP where you have the same copy across all of your SKUs. That's the place to pay attention and bring some humor and bring some humanity into it without having to necessarily rewrite 50 to 100 to 200 SKUs. And yes, I call these copy tunities, and you can't take that from me. Okay, so here is manly bands again. We have so many SKUs. I was like, how can we make the shipping and returns portion like unique among the 4 or 5 products that we worked on together, but still give them a template for how it should look across the rest of the SKUs. And this was 3 different products here. So the first 2 lines are the same product, then there's a different product, then there's a different product. So depending on like the feel of the ring, it would be delivered by a rugged outdoorsman, a nuclear drone, or a thoroughbred racehorse, and or USPS. Obviously, it's USPS, right? But just like a fun little way to bring, you know, enjoyment and delight into the opportunity. Like you're asking for money, give them something besides that product. Harry's, the razor company, says this after you order. Your estimated delivery date is this day. Here's what to do if you need help, or send us your favorite Gordon Lightfoot track. And this was how I knew that like I wasn't really Harry's target customer because I didn't know who that was, and I had to Google him. This is Gordon Lightfoot. I think we have some Canadians here today, so maybe you know who he is. Do we want to guess if he's still alive? Guess what? He is! He's still alive. This man is like 83 and making music. Good for him. I'm sure we have a few Gordon Lightfoot fans in the chat. Please don't be mad at me for using him as a punchline. Here's Warby Parker just adding a moment of humanity to a transactional email. We never think about this stuff, right? This is all the back end. It's taken care of for us. But this is some of the highest ROI work you can do in your copy. Just like going through everything that's set up and saying, does this reflect our brand? How do we want our people to feel? How can we add just a touch of humanity and levity to this? So to sum it all up, what should you do to write higher converting copy? Use your customer research, mine your reviews, pull out those sticky phrases. Don't be afraid to lighten things up, have a little fun. Try to tell a story starring your reader that makes them feel things, and then don't forget about all the details. Hopefully that makes sense because I'm going to the next thing. I won't sing. I promise I won't sing. This is one of my favorite sections. This whole talk is my favorite talk. I like to talk about this stuff. 3 LTV-growing emails that virtually no one is sending. These are real emails from real brands that I was obsessed with when I received them. So the first one I call the preemptive objection-killer. And you want to send this after purchase, between shipping and delivery. So they're waiting for their package to arrive. Keep them excited, right? Like let them know what to do when the package comes, especially if it's a product that has instructions they need to follow for best results. Shore up their idea of making like they made a good decision, right? Send them social proof, send them reviews. And then the specific aim of this version of that post-purchase email is to address objections that they might have with the product. That will help you cut down on returns and make customers feel like you're reading their minds and cut down on complaints. So what does that look like? Here's Outdoor Voices. My friend Val Geisler, who is another email person, was sweet enough to send me this email. She bought a pair of leggings from them, and they sent this email in between purchase and delivery saying, some people think, wow, these are tight. It's true, they are. We designed them to be tight so that they sculpt and shape and hug you in all the right ways. They should be tight, but not I can't breathe tight. So like, just so you know, they're supposed to fit tight, but if they're too tight, let us know. I would guarantee this cuts down on returns like crazy for this product. Here is an email I wrote for probably the first copy that I've written that I included in this presentation for a coffee company. So they are really, really into coffee, and like some of y'all are in Portland, so I know you are too. The way you brew it matters, right? You can destroy your amazing beans if you brew them too hot or if you steep them too long or whatever. So while they're waiting for their beans to arrive, we tell them, here's how to brew. And if you mess it up, you're going to destroy your flavor. And that's, I don't know, I just wanted to do an explosion GIF. And this is what the owner of the store said, just by sending a series of post-purchase emails that included this kind of helpful information and preemptive objection reduction. Customer LTV went up 150%. Orders per customers went up from 2 to 3. Returning customer rate is up. Like, oh, that felt so good. Yeah, okay, it works. Second email I would love to see more people send. This is specific to you if you have retiring products, or you like have new products and stop making old ones if you have limited time stuff. So it won't work for everyone. But if you are like retiring a product, or maybe it's low in stock and it's like you want to prompt it to sell out, you can send this kind of email. But just be sure that you include a backup option for people who open late. So Rothy's is kind of like the queen of this. They are constantly retiring styles of shoes and introducing new ones. They say like, hey, buy this specific style. And then all the way at the bottom of the email, there was stuff in between this. I just sort of like squished it. They say, did you miss out? Did they sell out? Like, here's what to look for in the same palette or the same shape or whatever. So thinking ahead to what happens if they open this and they don't get what we promised. And the third email that I love so much, that is better suited to higher ticket items, because it's obviously not worth having a CS person on the other end, but can be super, super useful. The personal return helper. So if you can turn a return into an exchange, then you want to send this email. You'll also prevent bad reviews. And this was a real email that I sent to the jeans company, Bot and Bow. And I was like, I hate these jeans. They don't work for me. And she said, I wanted to reach out personally regarding your order. What did you expect? Great place to collect that customer feedback that then becomes part of your research and informs your copy. I ask because I want to help you get the right product in your hands. Amazing. Notice it's plain text. It feels very personal, even though it probably came through Zendesk. And I was like, Liz, I love you. I will try another pair of jeans. I think I ended up keeping the second pair, mostly because of Liz. So what might a post-purchase email flow look like? Obviously, you send their receipt. Maybe you cross-sell or upsell them later on as the product is in transit or they're waiting for it. Preempt those objections, which we talked about, educate them, get them excited. Once you know they have actually gotten it and they've probably had time to use it, check in with them and ask them for a review. I see so many of these getting sent like, 2 days after I order, the product hasn't shipped yet. And it's like, how was it? Did you like it? Like, please adjust the timing on your review emails. And make sure that you're not duplicating them from like Shopify and Yotpo and Judged and Delighted and all the other extensions, or Klaviyo, because you might be sending two. Sometimes this happens. If this is part of your thing, you can later on offer a discount code for their next order. And then if you sell something consumable like coffee, set up a flow, set up an email in the flow for 30 days after. We did one for the coffee store that was like, a little birdie told me you might be running low on coffee. Also, why does that bird know your business? Close your windows and do you want some more coffee? It was fun. So here are the emails I want to see you sending, if applicable. They're applicable, except for maybe two. The preemptive objection killer post-purchase, the retiring product offer, TBD, and the personal return helper when they're having trouble, when customers want to return. And now we have arrived at the part where I just shit all over things that people do wrong. Just my favorite part. Again, this whole talk is my favorite talk. How can we avoid these very common conversion killing copy mistakes? And the fun part of this is that some of it isn't even about the writing. It's just the way you present the writing. For instance, formatting problems. We don't have a ton of this with people using Shopify because the templates are all designed to avoid formatting issues. But you still do come across websites that look like this, where it's just like there's no clear visual hierarchy. There's a giant wall of text everywhere I look. I want to scream, please help. Surely they're doing this intentionally. Okay. Here is another example from a homepage. This is bad for a lot of reasons, but one thing I want to say about homepages in particular, get people where they need to go as quickly as possible. So take your top 3 categories, if you have categories, rank them in priority and get people to that collection or category landing page. Don't just put everything you sell on the homepage. It's just a nightmare. Here's an example of a wall of text that I'm worried about. I don't know where to go with this, right? I don't know what to read. It's just kind of overwhelming to see this gigantic paragraph all at once. And if you don't write a ton for the web, it can be really hard to train yourself out of doing that like 5-sentence paragraph format that we all learned in grade school, like intro sentence, 2 to 3 body sentences, conclusion, right? We don't need that on the internet. We probably need 2 to 3 sentences per paragraph max, and then a line break. So I don't know how to read this. I'm sure there's a lot of good information in there, but this is basically the equivalent of that meme that's like, I'm not reading all that. I'm happy for you though, or sad, whatever, whichever it is. So how do we fix it, right? Oh, it's formatting. It can be fixed with formatting. Add section headers to your pages and your emails. Use bullets whenever you have a series of things. Use selective bolding so that people's eyes can bounce around to what's more important when they're skimming. Break your paragraphs. And then don't forget about visual white space, images, GIFs, anything that's going to add like some sort of sense of where someone is on the page. This is also not what I mean when I say use bullets. This is not anything better. Try not to, if you have bullets that extend past one line, you should have fewer of them, and you could consider using selective bolding to help people read the bullets, but this is not better. Another mistake that I see mostly among stores that do a lot of drop shipping, which I don't think that's y'all. But if you have a product that comes with copy, this is a big mistake to just use what the manufacturer says about it. It ends up looking like this, just clearly not written by someone who speaks English every day. As romantic night lamp and decoration light, it is a gift full of sincere. This is for a lamp that I found on Amazon. And then obviously I'm like cherry picking bad examples, right? But like, what does it mean? I don't understand. This is not converting anybody. Maybe based on sheer volume, the product is doing well, but I guarantee you it could do better. Just what? The stars are in your room. Turn off the light. I feel like a universe. It's poetic. But yeah, we don't want to be this, right? We don't want to do good enough and then just throw traffic at it until it converts enough to make money. Here is an example of how you would do this better. So Think Geek also sells a star lamp, and their copy has a section header. It has short paragraphs. This one's a little long. It has bullets. And then look how it's telling us a story and making us feel things. The stars remind us of how small our existence is with how far separated in space and time they are from us. Not my favorite sentence, but like the first part was good, right? When we visit national parks, there's that kind of like aspirational, like this will make you feel like you're in a national park. And then here's the problem copy. If you can't see the sky from your house or there's light pollution, this is like the product for you. So same product, essentially, vastly different copy. Guarantee that ThinkGeek's conversion rate is higher even with lower traffic. Yeah, I read it to you when we were zoomed out, but here is the stuff that I love about it again. Good stuff. Okay. This is a big problem. Sentences that are trying to do too much. I will just tell you, every sentence has one job. It should make one point, and it should get you to the next sentence. If you have a sentence that is doing too much, or you have a sentence that doesn't need to be there, you should chop it down or cut it out. So what does it look like? A sentence that's trying to do too much. To ask important health questions irrespective of any economic drivers, and to develop effective protocols that improve metabolism for those that wish to make themselves impervious to metabolic diseases such as cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular, and Alzheimer's disease. And it's a fragment. I do love fragments, so we can absolutely start sentences with two. But this is too much, right? Like, what am I supposed to get from that? Nothing. Nick Young is the appropriate reaction here. Well, here is a great way to cut up your sentences and make them more impactful. Get your point across. Notice they are fragments, right? Butt tech, no shearing, quick drying. Cool. Sorry, I just wanted to put butts on your screen real big. I hope you're not at work. Meet your booty's new best friend. Like a best friend would, they'll never leave you exposed when you're doing the downward dog. Cool. 1 point per sentence. I know what it is. I know what it does. Here's another example of a fragment. So this is kind of getting into what you've probably heard before, which is write like you talk. So, be conversational, be casual. We don't need perfect noun, verb, direct object agreement in every sentence. So who gives a crap says our toilet paper is delivered to your door, to your front door, to your bathroom would be creepy. Very funny, I think. I'd love to see a funnier CTA, but that's just me. Knock knock would be a great CTA there, I think. Okay. The final thing that I would like everyone in the world to stop doing, and then it wouldn't exist anymore, and we would have this problem, is get rid of cliches and nonsense or umbrella phrases. And I'll explain what that means in a second. Cliches do serve a function. Before we get into this, cliches do like shorthand is helpful culturally when we know what someone is talking about, or we just need to pretend that we do to be like, sounds great, Greg. However, they shouldn't be in your copy, right? So here is a hotel chain saying, excited to share our unparalleled experiences and exclusive offers. What does that mean? What are you going to send me? How often will you send it to me? Why? Barf. This is so funny to me. Notice how it's in my bad swipe file. Valued customer whose name we do not know and couldn't be asked to pull out of our CRM. Come back. Give us your money. I know you're not doing this. This is just like the worst examples I could find. Here is what this might look like more insidiously. Right, so this is a furniture company that shall not be named. Bring home a piece of history. This chair is a work of art that you can admire. Prepare to unwind in style. If I held you at gunpoint and I asked you what more than admiring looked like, could you tell me? No. Unwinding in style, okay. Piece of history, okay. Just like those are the spots that jump out to me as could be working a lot harder, could be a lot more specific, kind of are nonsense. Do I have an example of umbrella phrases? No, okay. So my friend Amy Harrison, who is a wonderful copywriter and makes hilarious videos that you should check to explain copy concepts. I think she was the person that started talking about umbrella phrases as where you're writing something, but you want to be more inclusive. So you sort of expand out a little bit. And then before you know it, you've put an umbrella over every possible concept and you've removed all actual meaning and specificity of what you were trying to say. So here's a bag of chocolate that I ate once and started marking up with a Sharpie while I was eating it because do you dream in chocolate just is the nothing burger. It's just nothing. I don't want my chocolate to caress all my senses. I want it to be delicious and go into my body. Okay. Yep. Nick Young. This makes me ragey. It's everywhere. Just go through your copy with a careful eye and look for stuff like this. So save time and money is obviously the biggest one. That's the most common. That's all we want as humans is to save time and money, right? But like, unless you can tell me exactly how that's going to happen and how your product is going to help, then I don't believe you. Do X like never before. Okay, was I doing it before? How do you know? You'll love how, will I? Again, I don't believe you. Makes this a breeze. Delightfully tacky yet unrefined. I'll allow it because it's Hooters. But again, kind of like a juxtaposition that didn't need to exist. And then the classic 3-word tagline, which is just like 3 words that we liked. They probably all start with the same letter. Sounds good. CEO signs off. Let's go. Go through your copy. Ask yourself, especially when you have like phrases and compound nouns, what does this actually mean? Can I see this? And if you can't, see if you can replace it with something more specific. Okay, the TLDR, the wrap up. Don't use walls of text. Don't use the copy that comes with the item if you're ordering it from manufacturer, which you're probably not doing this. But if you are, stop. go through, make sure every sentence is doing one job and that job is necessary, and then go through again and cut out your umbrella phrases, your nonsense, and your cliches. To recap, the best slide in the world. We talked about all of this stuff today. I hope that you remember some of it. I hope that some of it is useful for you. And I think that's all I have for you. Yeah, you can find more stuff at punchlinecopy.com. Thanks for listening.
I love it. Thank you so much, Lianna. I actually wrote down, actually, can you leave that up so that those folks who want to see it can see it?
Oh, yeah.
I have so many notes that I took. So I hope everyone because I'm also, I write copy for a lot of folks and for myself as well. And so I'm constantly trying to up level that. And so I really hope everyone got a lot out of this. I know there's a ton of questions that are coming in. I wrote some out too.
Yeah.
But I won't be selfish and ask mine first. I'm just kidding. Going back towards the beginning of the presentation, you talked about surveying customers. Jan had asked if there's suggestions on how to survey them that you recommend. Is it like a specific delivery method or offering incentives, that sort of thing?
Such a good question. I love an email survey. If possible, keep it to 3 questions, max 5. You don't want it to take more than like 2 minutes of their time. And then think about what the survey is going to do for you and where it should live. So like email's good, but you can also do post-purchase surveys. I'm trying to think of what Shopify app it is that plugs in. If knowing where your customers came from is helpful for you, then do a post-purchase survey. You can also do like a Hotjar pop-up poll, especially if it's exit intent triggered. So like, wait, were you looking for something that you didn't find? And people are like, yeah, I didn't see any dog food. And you're like, oh no, I have dog food. I just didn't show them. As for incentives, your mileage may vary. I wish there was a way to like make people better so that they wouldn't just fill out a survey for like a $5 gift card and just write one word in every answer, but there isn't. I don't think it's bad to offer a small incentive, but some people say it skews results.
Yeah, I know I'm in the camp of those who want to provide the feedback will do it regardless of the incentive that you offer. So if you, Jan, if I remember your site, because I think I've looked at it in the past, like the people who like what you sell are going to be the people that want to help you. Like you have a very niche site that is not just like this general, if I remember, Jan, I think you sell scarves, if I remember you correctly. And like, it's the people that want to help you are going to be the ones that want to contribute to make you better, not because they get something out of it in return.
And also take their feedback with a grain of salt because the loudest people are not necessarily right all the time.
So true. There's a reason why a lot of software companies, when you email them saying, hey, can you add this feature? And they say, no, it's because just because you want it doesn't mean it's the right thing for their product. And it would be the same thing for you. Just because someone's asking for something for your product doesn't mean it's the right thing for your business.
Unless you're like, oh God, that's so obvious. I should have done that. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Then in that case, do it.
Yeah.
It also, Jan's question also kind of made me ask my question of, do you recommend when asking like a survey like that, is it something that you take them to another form or just reply to this email with answering these 4 questions? Like what, have you seen one way or the other get better results?
I think it's easier to ask for a reply. It's just more data parsing on your end, unless you're exporting it into like Google Sheets, like from the email replies. Yeah, it depends on how much you're going to slice and dice the data. If you're really just looking for like raw customer feedback and answer to 1 to 3 questions, like just say hit reply. Yeah. And I also like, what do you know about your people? Are they nervous to reply? Are they older and less tech savvy? What would make them more likely to want a tool versus hitting reply in an email?
Yeah. And then I think, you mentioned it before too, of like, when you're asking these questions, if it's an abandoned cart email, maybe that's when you're doing it. Or if it's part of your exit intent survey, those are the ways to do it. And just ask for it. Just say, hey, do you mind answering a few questions or something along those lines? It doesn't have to be like this whole process to get feedback. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
I think someone said it in the chat too. They're like, you're giving us permission to just relax a little bit. And it's like, I think this is a good case of like, just to relax, just ask the questions. The worst case scenario, they're going to say no.
Yeah, or they'll be really mean, but that happens so rarely. I also think it's useful. We've seen like Delta send out a survey that's like, your feedback genuinely improves our operations and helps us be better. Like, I don't believe you. But if you are sending a survey saying like, I promise you, I'm going to read every single one of these responses and use them to thoughtfully consider like how to run my business. Your words matter, your opinion matters genuinely. Here's how it matters. People believe you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This one might be a little specific to your own preferences, but that's fine. Lauren says, post by email question. What are specific applications we can utilize that would avoid coding templates in Shopify?
I mean, I think you should be using Klaviyo. And they have a post-purchase flow already set up that you can go in and customize. Like we talked about. Like, just because it's set up doesn't mean you should just turn it on. You should go in and say like, what do I want this to do here? How should I time this? What should I ask? But yeah, I think Klaviyo is like the go-to because you want to send more than one post-purchase email.
Yeah, and there was a meetup that we did a few months back. I'm losing track. It's all sort of blurry, but when I share this YouTube link to later today, if you look past the other ones that I've done, there's been some Klaviyo conversations as well as email marketing just in general. We talk about a lot of different tools and the pros and cons of them, as including cost. Cost is a big factor with a lot of people for Klaviyo, but it is like the Rolls Royce. So you get what you pay for with it.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing that we didn't talk about, but I think can be really useful is the idea of using your inbox as a swipe file. So like you're buying from other stores, right? So when you get an email where you're like, oh, that's really good, or something that causes you to click through, file that away. And mine is ridiculously complicated with all sorts of labels, but you can just say like swipe file label. So when you're looking for inspiration, you have something to refer back to that actually resonated with you.
Definitely. Lauren also asked a formatting question. What are your thoughts about utilizing landing pages versus the home page to direct customers? This is for retail clothing.
Yeah. I think landing pages are always good. I think a lot of retail clothing, like apparel retailers, don't put a lot of effort into their collection pages. The bare minimum is to be like a few sentences at the top for SEO. But if you can turn that collection page into more of an experience, then your homepage doesn't have to have all that information on it. I would say, like, what are your top selling categories? Do you want those to continue to be your top selling categories? Direct people accordingly on the homepage. Is that answering your question? Probably not.
So I would also add too that my thought on the homepage is it is much like you said with your sentences. The one sentence job is to take you to the next sentence. The job of the homepage is to take you further into the website.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm talking about this because Thomas has a question about putting all of their collections on the homepage, like a shop all when you have small inventory, or focusing more on copy. I think it's a mixture of them. Like get people to click on your homepage. If that's your landing page, get them to click on your landing page and move farther in. A homepage can be a landing page. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you need to have copy on there. Don't just have all of your products or collections that are on there without any copy. You have to have copy that associate with it. Otherwise, they don't know what they're clicking on or why.
Yeah, I'm always going to be in favor of copy.
Yeah.
I mean, images are great, but let's give it some context and let's feed the Google beast, right?
Well, and I think that's where people miss out a lot of too, is like, if you don't have actual text on your homepage, Google just sees a bunch of pictures and they don't understand necessarily what the page is for. And so you're not getting enough SEO traffic to your site because you're not answering any questions on it.
Yeah.
But if you have copy, and that could be, as you talked about before, using reviews, using the people that are giving you feedback and putting that on your homepage, at least then, you're utilizing the copy that you've generated from what your customers are saying and answering their questions already on the homepage.
Yes. Oh, and he has another question
Yeah.
about recommendations for small inventory.
Yeah.
I would say if you want to highlight products on the homepage, pick a few, like 1 to 3 that really represent the brand or like our best sellers, and like talk about them. And then give the option to shop that product or shop that category.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then Thomas, I want to make sure I didn't just answer this question. Is it true that when you have product details, such as a bullet list in a drop down section on the product page, it doesn't work well with SEO?
I think that's a you question.
I'm not,
I don't think that's true necessarily.
no, it's not true, but I'm not totally sure what you mean by drop down section. Oh, do you mean accordion?
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about. Okay.
What I will say, oh, sorry.
No,
Go on.
go ahead. No, please.
What I will say for that is that when you do screen recordings, people often miss the drop downs, right? So it's like, unless you make it very visually evident that like there is information behind this that you need to look at, they'll be like, well, how do I get it shipped? Do they ship to Canada? Like, and then they'll leave. So that's the danger of the nice design of accordions.
Yeah. So Thomas, I can't remember if you and I have messaged before, but I have a couple of articles about tabs on your product descriptions because I'm very opinionated about this. For SEO purposes, if it's coded correctly, Google can still see it. But there is a ton of debate right now about how much of that content is utilized within Google search then. It's not that they can't see it, but it may not help you necessarily if it's hidden behind a tab or an accordion. So
Interesting.
people will read, expand it out, don't hide it, unless it's like really boring. Like if you have nutritional facts that's in an image, maybe sure, put that into an accordion, but otherwise use the content to your advantage and make it visually seen. And much like Lianna said, when you do recordings of people that go through the site, half the time they don't pay attention to those and they skip right over it. I'll do this if you have ever done like a control F when you land on a product page. I'm looking for a specific keyword or a term. I don't want to read through all the stuff or something like that. If it's hidden
Never done
behind,
this.
oh, I've totally done this. Oh my gosh, because sometimes I'm
breaks my
lazy.
heart.
Oh, I know. Sometimes I'm lazy, especially if it's like an Amazon page and they're so long that like there's a lot of extra content in there that I don't care about. And I'm just looking to see like, I want the specs. So I'm looking just to get to the specs. That's all I care about. So I'll do a search for specs. If it's in a tab or an accordion, when you do a control find, it doesn't show up. So it's kind of hard to say.
Good point.
I know I'm weird. Sorry.
I mean, I've done it to like look for the reviews section, I guess, but I haven't like looked for, a word or an ingredient or something.
I'm sort of sidetracking here. Sorry, y'all. I was looking for a computer part the other day and I was looking for a very specific like dimension in the spec. And I'm like, just do they have this or not? Because it was stressing me out that I couldn't find it. Because I also have a new M1 Apple computer. And so I would do control F just to try to find this one keyword and I couldn't find it. And I was looking through a bajillion product tabs. That's why. So I'm very opinionated.
That's fair.
Okay. Thomas also asks, how detailed or simple do you think an about page should be? I feel like a customer should understand a lot from the visual elements, but maybe more company info, ethics, etc., can be sprinkled into multiple blog posts.
Thomas, I have bad news. They're not reading your blog posts. They want a meaty about page. They want to know that the company is run by humans. They want to see pictures of those humans. They want to know how long you've been around. The way that I tend to structure about pages is like a few sections that affirm why they're here and what you're going to give them. So like, it's not about you, right? It's about your reader. But then as they scroll deeper, they're looking for more information about you, about the team, about the products, about the manufacturing. Mission focused brands tend to have really good about pages. So like Everlane has a really good one. They're union busters, but they have a good about page. Who else? Anybody who like does social good wants to talk about it, and they have a very good about page you can steal the structure of. But yeah, don't be afraid. Like a longer, meatier about page is always better than a shorter one that's like, we're based in Canada. Contact us at support@blank.com.
The end.
You're like, then the about page is usually the second most visited page on like every single site, right? They get to your homepage, they're like, who are you? About, like, blow them away. And that's your about page can also be a landing page. It can be a sales page, right? Like, don't forget, if they've spent all this time reading your about page, tell them to go shop. Like, see it for yourself. We're amazing. Shop most popular, go buy things.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't put enough effort into their about page. And I'm guilty on this too. Now everyone's gonna go look at my about page, but like
I know,
I
same.
wrote it like 4 years ago when I was like, I don't really know what to say. And I just threw something on there and then I forget about, oh, you're gonna go to it right now. Are you going to it? Oh, thanks.
I'm going
Good.
to
I'm like, oh my gosh,
mine.
don't.
I'm going to one that I wrote for a business that I'm part of.
Yeah, I think just like you can have the fun elements to it, but still actually talk about who you are and don't depend on people to go to other pages to learn about you because sometimes they're not going to click through. So you have to make sure that you're explaining who you are.
Yeah.
This is
Our
like
design sucks, but
no, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, animals.
Yeah, we make pet products. I gotta send this because this should be orange. But yeah, it's the presentation and design is not great, but it's a lot of information about like what we do, how we make our supplements, who we are, and then it's studded with 5-star reviews and photos and stuff like that. So
I love it.
my personal about page is a lot punchier and weirder. Should I go back to my slides now? Okay.
We'll just stare at dogs all day. I think it's totally fine.
I love it.
More questions from Thomas. I love it. Thank you. What's a good conversion on completed surveys sent on newsletters? I avoid it because I fear people would be put off and perhaps not many would do it.
This is the part where I'm like, I'm wearing a giant crystal and I say, Thomas, do you really want to run your business out of fear? And then you hang up and never come back to me again. Don't listen to me on that. But I cannot give you a good conversion rate on surveys because that depends on so many other factors, chiefly the warmth of your list and the engagement of your list. Like, if you email regularly and people love it and you have low unsubscribes and high engagement, you will get more responses and a higher conversion rate on your survey. If you send them a survey and it's the first email you've sent in 6 months, you're not going to get very much and you're probably going to see a lot of unsubscribes. I would not avoid sending a survey because you are afraid, but that's easier said than done. I sent one to our list. It wasn't very warm. I want to say I sent it to like, I don't know, 800, 900 people. Our list has grown since then, thankfully. And I got maybe 60 or 70 responses. And it was a pretty long, meaty survey about like, what do you want to see from us in the future? What kinds of products do you want from us? Yeah, it really just depends. But I think you should do it. Or just ask one question. Send an email, a text-based email that looks personal from you with a very important question, bolded, and then say, hit reply and let me know.
I love it. I think we have time for one more question. So I'm going to put this out there. And then if you have questions, Lianna's email is on here. Please do reach out to her. But this last one is, how do you write? This might be a little bit too long. So if it is, tell me, but I think it's a good one. How do you write good subject lines without sounding clickbaity?
Make sure that you're not clickbaiting people. So you want something that stands out in the inbox, right? Here, I will show you my subject line swipe file. I can't see what I'm searching for. Subject lines. Here it is. Okay. These are all the subject lines that got me to be interested, right? You want something that's exciting that stands out visually in the inbox. You want to open a curiosity loop. So this is what I think you're talking about with clickbait. You want them to be curious enough to open, right? But you don't want to make a promise that you don't keep inside the email. So like, make sure you keep your promise. Don't blow your load in the subject line and like prevent them from opening because you still want them to open. But like, it can be as simple as, OMG, there's a dog. Here's Wikimedia. They want my money. Lianna, you are one of those rare exceptions. Welcome to a life less ordinary. I read the comments, raw words for you. Notice how they're shorter. Interestingly, I wasn't seeing a lot of emojis up here. Using emojis can help the subject line stand out in the inbox. Use them before and after the subject line and never use them in place of a word because sometimes they won't show up. I have more to say about that, but yeah, like they're fun, right? Imagine you're writing an email to your friend, not to your list. Yeah. Okay. And I know we can't talk about SMS, but PostScript is the tool of choice. I ran a poll on Twitter. PostScript can do what Klaviyo SMS currently can't, and they have so much good documentation, and their support is cool. And to write a good text, imagine again, you're texting your friend and you're trying to be useful and you're trying to be funny, and use a GIF.
So I love that you also went to SMS, because now there's another question that I really want to address. Okay. So we're going to go a few minutes over. I hope that's okay, because I think this is a good one. And I also am very opinionated about this one. So Easton asked, is it okay to use the same copy for all of your products if they are all just variant color combinations?
Do they all have different pages?
Let's assume yes.
Okay. I guess, I might say, like, here's the template for this of each color, and the first line of the body copy is going to be different and specific to that color. Like, this is the purpliest purple you've ever seen in your life. This is so purple, this is the royalty purple, whatever. And then the rest of the copy is the same, but just like help people distinguish, like, especially if you're sending them to different URLs, like, this is different.
So I feel otherwise.
Oh, okay.
It's totally cool, because Lianna and I could disagree.
It's some SEO stuff.
It is SEO stuff, because if it's the same thing, you're basically eating each other's lunch. And so you're competing and stepping on each other's toes. If literally the only difference is the color, make them variants on one product page. Do not create different product pages. This is a whole topic, and I'm sorry if I'm going to run down a rabbit hole, but if you are on online store 2.0 theme with Shopify, or you have custom code and you're willing to go that path, you can use meta fields that as they click on a variant, the description changes. And so the page stays the same and you're not like stepping on each other's toes, but each variant might have a different description. It's a whole can of worms, and I'm sorry to do that as we're about to wrap up. But please do not use the same product descriptions on multiple pages for SEO. If it's the same product description and it's just different variant colors, they should be one product with multiple variants, not multiple products.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah. Although if you have to keep them on separate pages right now, you could you could do that one line different if you can't rewrite them all, and then you can pull a specific email review for each color and put that in the product description.
I mean, look, it's not like it's the end of the world if it's the same thing. Like, the SEO will suffer on it. So like, if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. Anne just posted in the comments. Thanks, Anne. I appreciate you. She has a great tool to be able, or some blog posts to be able to use different meta fields as a way to show up different variants. I appreciate you sharing that link. So it's not like it's the worst thing in the world. It's just not going to help you necessarily, but it'll help your customers that are already on the site. So yeah, I hope that helps. Okay, we're a little over. I want to thank Lianna. Lianna, can you pull up your slide again?
Oh yeah. No one wants to look at my inbox.
I mean, I love looking at.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on the internet. I'm aggressively on Twitter. If you want to find me there, it's probably if you tweet at me, I'll probably. I'm something on Twitter. My mom doesn't think it's funny. But yeah, if you email me, I'll probably respond more slowly. So if you tweet at me, I will not be able to ignore that notification because I'm just so on Twitter.
And Lianna has a very unique name. So I see a couple questions in here about how to find more about her. You can always just type in the Googles and she shows up.
Yeah. So, isn't that weird?
It's weird how that works.
People I'm dating are starting to do that. Some guy was like, I Googled you. And I was like,
oh no. Don't do that. That's dangerous.
Yeah, no, didn't love it. Didn't work out.
All right, Lianna, thank you so much for your time. This was wonderful. I will be sending out the recording and recap hopefully a little bit later today or first thing tomorrow. Thank you all for attending, and I look forward to our next session. Thanks all so much.